All right, so from that last video, we saw that bowling ball was hitting that box harder than the feathers. And that's because that bowling ball has more mass, has more stuff in it. Well, if we apply the same amount of force with maybe a slap to each one of these different balls with different masses, we'll notice something else changes. If you slap a ping pong ball, let's say, with all your might, everything you got, that ping pong ball is probably going to fly across the room. So you slap the bowling ball with all your might, everything you got. Your hand's going to hurt a little bit, but that bowling ball is going to move pretty far across the room. If you do the exact same thing to a wrecking ball, which has a lot more mass, odds are the wrecking ball is not going to move, and you're probably going to be in the hospital with a broken hand. That's because each one of these has a different amount of mass. Let's check that out with the math. So, if you remember, we have force equals mass times acceleration. In this case, I have the same amount of force each time. My force has stayed constant. So if I want to know how fast maybe this ping pong ball accelerated, it's totally possible. So check this out. I've got force in newtons. I'll plug it in. It's 5 newtons. So that's all your might. And we have the mass of the ping pong ball. We can plug that in, which happens to be 1 kilogram. And we want to know what the acceleration is. We can do that. In algebra, if you just have one unknown with an equal sign, you should be able to get the answer. What we want to do is get this a, or this acceleration, alone on one side of the equal sign by itself. We can do that by dividing by 1 kilogram on both sides. It was being multiplied on this side. Therefore, we do the opposite. We divide on this side, and everything that I do on one side, I have to do the other. Well, it happens to be that 1 kilogram over 1 kilogram cancels out. So now I have that a by itself. 5 divided by 1 is going to be 5. So 5 meters per second squared is my acceleration. So the acceleration of the ping pong ball was 5 meters per second squared. Now let's try the acceleration for the bowling ball. So again, we have force equals mass times acceleration. We've got our force. It stayed constant. It's all of our might. And that would be 5 newtons. I have an arbitrary number that I kind of made up. That's okay. And then we have the mass of the bowling ball. The mass of the bowling ball was 10 kilograms. It's got more than the ping pong ball. We multiply that times acceleration. We have one thing that we're looking for, and that's that a. Just using simple algebra, what I can do is take 10, divide it on this side. Everything I do on one side of an equal sign, I've got to do on the other. 10 divided by 10 is 0, so it cancels out, leaving my a alone. The answer to this one is going to happen to be 0.5 meters per second squared equals my acceleration. So with our math, we can look at which one accelerated faster, my ping pong ball, which was right here, or my bowling ball, which is a little bit bigger. Well, my ping pong ball did with the same amount of force. Just to check and do this one more time, we're going to do the wrecking ball. So force equals mass times acceleration. Again, my force has stayed constant. It hasn't changed. That's 5 newtons. equals my mass. My mass I'm going to get from over here. That's 100 kilograms times acceleration, which is my unknown. That's what I want to get to know. If I divide by 100 kilograms, I can get that A all alone. Everything I do on one side, I must do the other side on the equal sign. So I can cancel this one out because 100 divided by 100 is 0, leaving my A by itself. And my answer, I made my decimal a couple of times, 0.05 meters per second squared is my unit for acceleration. Don't forget your units or you will get the answer wrong. All right, so this was my ping pong ball, 5. Here was my bowling ball, which was 0.5, and then my wrecking ball, which is 0.05. So if asked which one's going to accelerate the fastest, the answer is the ping pong ball. Which one's going to accelerate the slowest with the same amount of force? That's the wrecking ball. That's how you solve for acceleration.